about any other school of thought, right? We are not really entering into a fight with them or anything. The whole thing is, even if there is no external person out there, what it could be? Our thoughts. It may seem to us like, yeah, so what is Vedanta? And you give a different meaning. Or you can say, yeah, it's only awareness. And there are so many human beings who just make it into some kind of a simplistic teaching, right? And they think that they understand it all. And I have seen that they are so lost in life. So it is to prevent that, and it is not to enter into some kind of a fight with somebody else, right? That's not the intention. Anytime we have Purva Pakshas, the whole teaching is with what? Opponents. Opponents having a different view. Those opponents are either real persons or imaginary persons. The purpose is not to enter into a fight with them, but what? By exposing ourselves to different ways of looking, right? And seeing the fallacies, what contributes to our clarity. The whole purpose is to what? I can't take this teaching superficially. I have to give it its due importance. Right? You can't say, yeah, let anybody say whatever about what Vedanta is saying, and we are so loving and we are so caring, we'll accept it all. Yeah, let them remove Ishvara from it, so what? Let them remove this whole point of self-growth and self-maturity. Let them all float as, oh, I'm limitless, and some kick they get out of it. So what? Because we are all very loving and very accommodating. Can you do that? You just cannot do it. This teaching, you can't take away the whole what? The whole essence of the teaching, and then what? It's like telling, that, oh yeah, let people understand E is equal to MC says superficially, so what? Right? You just cannot do it, because there is this whole big analysis involved. If you eliminate that analysis, what remains is what? That sentence which doesn't mean anything. Right? So therefore, you have to see the use of this whole thing, which actually gives you a vision which is a very solid foundation. It has a vision. And what is the foundation of this vision? Dharma. What is the foundation of this vision? Your emotional growth. What is the foundation of this vision? Your connection to Ishvara, from where everything has come. You can't eliminate it all and then talk about that vision. It is like building a castle without foundation. And if you can't see the difference between this and that, there is some huge non-understanding, which the teacher's job is to point out. After that, it's up to you. Everybody has a free will and they can live the life they want. But if you come here to learn, it becomes the responsibility of the teacher. It's part of teaching. It's part of learning. Right? So now, the final sutra is Tattu Samanvaya. Tat, Tasmin Brahmani,
Mike.
So the whole Vedanta Shastra, what exactly, ultimately we have done so much analysis for last how many days? 8, 9 days. What is Vedanta trying to say through all these amazing analysis? What is it that it wants to? Where does it all result? Wonderful. So, for Marisa, it resolved in Ishvara. For Rajan, it resolved in nature of I. The bridge is needed between the two. Right? Because after 8, 9 days, what exactly it is trying to say is also what? Still hanging in the air. So that hanging in the air has to be resolved. You can't say Rajan is wrong because it is true, it is about nature of I. You can't say Marisa is wrong. Why? Because the 2 sutras we've studied is all about Ishvara. But where does it all? It becomes what? The I, Ishvara, the whole thing has to constitute what? It has to, Samanvaya has to take place and it has to result in a coherent vision. Otherwise, there are all these inquiries which are what? Hanging in the air with no final resolution. So what is the point where that final resolution takes place? So, the whole teaching of Vedanta is in form of an equation. An equation in Chandogya Upanishad there is a sentence which says Tat Tvam Asi. Tat refers to, Tat is a pronoun which is referring to something which is not in immediate proximity. That. Tvam. Tvam is you. You is I, the little individual. Asi, a verb. Present tense. You are that. What does that stand for? Ishvara. You and Ishvara are equated. How is that possible? How can you be equated to Ishvara? We just saw Ishvara as what? Yatova imani bhutani jayante. Yena jatani jivante. Yasmin jagat pravishanti. That Jagat Karanam Ishvara from where the time is, the space is, the objects is, from where the Vedas have come, from where the whole knowledge takes place. How am I that? It seems like some kind of a vacuum statement. Because my knowledge ends with what? Why rose is red. I only can know rose is red, but why is it red? Why those atoms come together and make a red color, whereas same atoms come together in some other permutation and combination and makes a yellow color? I don't know. So therefore, the two sides of the equation look so unequal. This is Sarvajnaha Sarvashaktiman. I am who? No, that is Ishvara, all knowledge and all power. And I, as I understand myself to be, who am I? Limited power, limited knowledge. Alpajnaha, alpashaktiman. And between the two, there is an equation. How is it possible? So therefore, you have to understand one very important thing. Because if you don't understand this, your whole Vedanta will be all mixed up. Let's even forget about Vedanta. Let's take a very simple equation. A simple equation is 3 plus 2 is equal to 6 minus 1. When you say 3 plus is equal to 2 is equal to 6 minus 1, and you use your little intellect, and if you say, oh, 3 plus 2 is equal to 6 minus 1, therefore, in your understanding, 3 is equal to 6, plus is equal to minus, and 2 is equal to 1. Wow, I understood. What did you understand? You created such a huge confusion. This equation, so that means what? You are trying to equate it at a wrong place. But does it then mean that we are all hallucinating when we equate 3 plus 2 is equal to 6 minus 1? That is an equation. But for this equation, what is the point of resolution? Where is there an equality? 5. 5 is a point of resolution. Not 3 is equal to 6 plus is equal to minus 2 is equal to 1. If you solve the equation at a wrong place, you are making a huge mistake. You have to solve it only at 5. You have no choice. Only then there is understanding. Any other way, or you cannot even say, let me then say a 3 is equal to 1, 2 is equal to 6. You can't do it any other way. It's not open to your imagination. You have to find the right point of resolution. Within that seeming inequality, there is a point where there is equality. When you add 3 plus 2, it becomes 5. When you subtract 1 from 6, it does become 5. So what looks as something very different does result in 5. That's where there is an equation. The whole equation that Vedanta is talking about is what? Tat Tvam Asi. You. Ishvara. If you try to resolve with Vachyartha, what is the Vachyartha? The direct meaning of what you mean by I. It will be a disaster. Because by your Vachyartha, what do you mean I? Me, who, this body and this mind. This is what I identity for everyone is as good as the body and mind. If you now, retaining your I in body and mind, starts imagining that I am infinity, disaster. retaining your I in your body and mind, start thinking I'm Ishvara. Disaster. This is where it seems like a disaster, but so many people believe in that. All these ideas that the wise person has all extraordinary powers, it's all what? That mix up. Because you are retaining your I as what? Body and mind, and then you are on that little body and mind, you are imputing what? Sarvatnaha Sarvashaktiman. That is a huge mistake. It's as though saying, me the individual is truth of time. Me the individual who has created space. Me the individual has created every object. That is the ultimate hallucination. Me the individual has so much of this whole literature has created karma. The laws have existed billions of years before your little body came into being. And it will exist for billions of years after your little body goes. Gravity has not come and consulted you. The power that the atom has, which is what we call nuclear, has not come and said, how much power should I have? No individual can become what? That no given body and mind can become Ishvara. Because Ishvara is what? Truth of all the bodies and all the minds which existed billions of years ago, which is going to exist now and is going to exist billions of years from now. What are we talking about? One given body being that impossible. So therefore, there is a danger if you try to resolve this equation in a wrong place. So then, question comes, when will you resolve this equation where it is not nonsensical? Where there is
the awareness.
Excellent. So, you people are so smart, you got the answer. That's true. It's true. Excellent. Even though there is seeming so much difference, there happens to be one point of resolution. And that resolution is in that awareness, that Brahman. One side of equation, you. We have seen the distinction between Vachyartha and Lakshyartha. What is the Vachyartha of I? The immediate meaning that I conveys to me? Body, mind and senses. What is the methodology used by Upanishads to take me from my Vachyartha to its Lakshyartha? What is the Lakshyartha? The intended meaning. The awareness. So, the whole teaching starts by taking you from Vachyartha to Lakshyartha. It takes you from your identity with this given body and mind, and it says, hey, this body is nothing but water, fire. Let's use Vedic model, 5 elements. Space, earth, and air. Are you any of them? Are you water? Are you fire? The beautiful song that Namita sings. What? Nacha Vyoma Bhumi Na Tejo Na Vayu. I'm not Vyom. Vyom means what? Space. Neither I'm Bhumi, the earth. Na Tejaha. What is that? Fire. Na Vayu. Nor the air. This body is nothing but combination of these 5 elements. I think I am this body, but this, what? Who am I? Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Takes me from Vachyartha to Lakshyartha. Leading. Within that body, what? No, not mind, not chakshu, no shotra. Those 5 elements combine and give you all these possibilities. 5 sense organs, 5 organs of action, 4 different functions of mind. That whole song negates it all. Because if 5 elements are not I, then when those 5 elements combine together and become my sense organs, become my organs of action, becomes my mind, does that become I? No way. Naja kshotraha netraha. Neither I am the ears, nor I am the eyes. Which is a further assemblage of those 5 elements acquiring additional attributes. So everything that you think, which is the meaning that you give to this word, I, all these things are taken away by Shastra. Because you are not this, you are not this, you are not this. Na iti, na iti, na iti. Neti, neti. Then by that process of elimination, do we come to zero-ness? No. Aham nirvikalpaha nirakara eka. By negating everything, ultimately what remains is the Lakshyartha, the intended meaning. What Upanishads want to convey to me as nature of I. That awareness, because of which I see 5 elements, because of which I see what? The 5 sense organs, because of which I see 5 organs of actions, because of which I see different conditions of life. That invariable presence, which never undergoes any change, according to, in keeping with what is observed. That awareness, which is Shiva, which doesn't have any limits, which is the existence, is who I am. So now, from one part of the equation, it has taken me from my meaning of who I am to what Shastra wants to show me as who I am. From Vachyartha to Lakshyartha. other side of the equation. The other side of the equation is Ishvara. What is the Vachyartha of Ishvara? What is the direct meaning of the word Ishvara? All knowledge and all power. Sarvajnaha Sarvashaktiman Ishvara. From where comes what? Everything. Every object, time, space, for cycles of creation. Not one creation, but cycles of creation. Huge. Now, if I really inquire, where did this all knowledge and all power come from? One is the Vachyartha and the Lakshyartha is what? Awareness. So what is the point of resolution? Awareness. When I resolve at the level of awareness, the Vachyartha becomes one? No. Vachyartha remains different. One remains what? That little body and mind. The other one is what? Because of which all the bodies and all minds have come. Vachyarthe bhedaha, lakshyarthe abhedaha. When you resolve that equation, what happens? Do you become Ishvara? Never. You only understand what? Where it resolves. In that awareness. So therefore, even for a wise person, for whom the whole reality is clear, does the form, body and mind become Ishvara's form? No. Only what happens is, both these depend upon one unchanging reality. Is no. Right? So therefore, the example which Surya used in his meditation, which is making it easy to understand, is what? The relationship between the wave, the ocean and the water. A wave. Wave has its specific form, which is equivalent to a body. And the ocean is the Ishvara. It includes what? Not only one little wave, it includes what? All the waves of the past, of the present and of the future. You can't compare that little wave with the ocean. If you try to equate the two, disaster. But there is a point of resolution, and that point of resolution is water. If you look into the truth of the wave, what do you find? Nothing but water with a given name and form. When you look into the truth of the ocean, you find nothing but water, but it's much bigger in magnitude. Because it encompasses all the waves. So therefore, if you look into the truth of that ocean, what will you find? Nothing but water. Now, this water, that means, appears in two different upadhis. This is on the first day, Michael used this word, upadhi. One water, on one hand, appears as what? The ocean, which encompasses all the waves. One upadhi, one appearance. And the same water also appears as what? Wave. A little individual. While appearing as both, is water ever becoming any of the two? No. Water is H2O. It is totally free from oceanness or waveness. It transcends both. Water is just water. Ocean cannot exist without water. Wave cannot exist without water. Water, while appearing as both, is free from being both. Satya Mithya relationship. Waveness equal to Jiva. Oceanness equals to Ishvara. The truth. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. The awareness which what? On one hand appears what? Gains what? That status of being the creator with its power to project the universe. Within that projection, there are many characters, many forms. But each form comes with what? Connection with one given body and mind, and the ignorance of the fact that all that is here is one. They start taking themselves as what? Only one little entity in this vast creation, and everything else is what? Separate from oneself. And one keeps on living in this world as an entity. Okay. Now, imagine that you have been fortunate in this life to meet a teacher who has told you that all that is here is what the entire drama of life is played on one awareness, which never undergoes any change. That awareness from the standpoint of the whole creation of this time, space and object is called Ishvara. And the same awareness, when it as though becomes connected to one given body and mind, is Jiva, individual. Now, you have understood that all that is here is only one awareness, which is I. What will happen to that form? The wave form. When the wave understands that the truth of me, the wave, is water, and the truth of ocean is equally water, what happens to the form wave?
Dissolves.
It remains. It doesn't dissolve. It may dissolve, not immediately. Otherwise, what will happen? The minute this knowledge takes place, will die. will give up the connection with body and mind.
Then nobody will learn Vedanta.
Then nobody will learn Vedanta, because what will happen? The minute you're out.
Conflict will resolve.
Exactly.
The dissolve, what I mean was not going off. Dissolves as in that you get connected to that fact of awareness.
So that means the conflict.
Conflict between the two will get resolved, will get settled.
Yeah.
When I see that the commonality is water.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
The
that's what I mean.
conflict that gets resolved. Right? The form and the apparent difference between the form remains. You call it what? Enlightened way. Because every other wave takes oneself to be this little tiny individual. The ocean is mighty and big, and it's at the mercy of the ocean. The shore is coming very close, and between the shore is coming, I'm comparing myself to all the other waves. They seem so big. I seem so small and insignificant.
The bigger wave wants to control the smaller waves.
Then the bigger wave is trying to control the smaller wave. Then the whole struggle goes on. The drama goes on. Now a guru wave comes. A guru wave, this guy is overwhelmed because he's being pushed around. Ocean is too enormous. Feels shore is coming too fast. My friends have already gone. Struggle. Guru wave comes. What are you afraid? Oh, this is too much for me to live. I think I'm small and insignificant. People around me are bigger. I have no control as to what? Who is going to go and hit the shore at what time? The Guru wave smiles. Guru wave smiles and says, Ashocha nanvashochastvam. You are grieving for something which does not really deserves to be grieved for. Panditaha na anushochati. The wise people don't cry. What? Are you asking me not to be sad? I'm not asking you not to be sad. I'm not giving you an advice. But I will show you one reality. Guru wave starts to teach. Guru wave says, you feel small and insignificant because you have given more reality to the form wave than to the content, which is the water. Behind this form, there is content, water. And what is the relationship between form and the content? Satyamithya. There are two lakes, wave and water. But in terms of reality, how many things are there? Only one. The the wave is just nothing but the form. Water in that given form. That's why it just gets a name. But in terms of reality, you're not making any addition. Please understand. Are you making any real addition to water?
You're just giving it a form.
Excellent. That form, because it is there, you're giving it a name. Imagine they had a naming system. So the wave 1 gets a name. Alok is good at giving names. What is name of that wave? Pappu.
This time it can be chopped.
This time, the first wave gets the name Chappu. The second wave gets another name. Rajan.
Lallu.
Lallu. The third wave gets a third name.
Bittu.
Bittu. All these waves get different names because what? They're all different forms. Chattu, Pittu, Bittu, Pappu, Chappu, everything.
But in the names also they had done Vedanta and that. Did you see all ends in U? This is all.
They all get different names because they are entities. There are forms. But if you pay attention to the content, which is water, how many things will you, if you look at the forms, you'll count many. As many forms there are, you'll give that many names. But if you look at the reality, which is the water, is there any addition done to that water? The form is only an appearance. There is no real addition. When that form goes away, is there any subtraction to the water? There is no subtraction. Purna Madav Purna Midam Purnat Purnam Udachyate. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Avashishyate. There is one awareness which takes many forms. The forms don't do it, it doesn't add anything to the awareness. Forms come, awareness gets one more new name. Forms disappear. Does anything happen to the awareness? Nothing happens to the awareness. Forms come and forms go. Within that coming and going, there is this whole play that happens between the forms, which gives you all kinds of life experiences. While the play is going on, does anything happen to awareness? It is like that white screen where the drama of life is going on.
So when certain groups talk that if we are a part of the source, so we are also source, is misunderstood?
So that means, it depends upon where your drashti is. If your drashti is, if your focus is on the form wave, then you can say that form wave is part of the ocean. Because the ocean includes not only one form, but many different forms. But if your drashti shifts to water, all that is here is water. Are you part of water? There is no part, there is only water. Undivided whole. So then you can say, I am that. I'm only water because there is no second thing other than water. Forms don't make any addition to water. Waves don't make any addition to water. Ocean doesn't make any addition to the water. They are all just seeming appearances that the water takes. On one hand, the totality, and the other hand, the individuality. So therefore, what? The whole thing is what? The whole Jagat is appearance without any addition to awareness. The whole coming and going of form is an appearance within awareness. When the forms go, does awareness get displaced? Never. From this one awareness, everything, the whole forms come and go, it remains unaffected by it. All these forms cannot exist without the presence of awareness. Awareness is independently existing. So when you resolve this equation, let's say an individual resolves this equation, what happens? The physical body and mind is not going to disappear. Otherwise, as Rajan says, nobody would be interested in this knowledge. You understand that physical body and mind as what? Just one of the forms that awareness has taken without undergoing any change. And the distinction between you and Ishvara in terms of Vachyartha will remain or not? It will remain. Very important. Only Lakshyartha is the equation. If Vachyartha you try to resolve, huge problem. Because your body is never going to become all knowledge. Your mind, your body is never going to become all power, and your mind is never going to become all knowledge. That distinction will remain. That enlightened wave, will it ignore the ocean? It will have no devotion for the ocean? It will continue to relate to the ocean. Will celebrate that connection. It will write poems about that connection. This is all what all our saints did. Kabir, Meera, Narsi Mehta, all their songs are talking about this non-duality. They reveled in that non-duality. They wrote poems about it. They were ecstatic. There are poems. Jagine jo to jagat dise nahi. Narsi Mehta, the one who wrote Vaishnavajan. He says that when I wake up from the ignorance, Jagine Joto means when I wake up, Jagat dise nahi. Before, this Jagat frightened me. It gave me so much, what? Problem of what? Smallness, insecurity, sadness, anger, jealousies, all that. Now, with the knowledge when I look, I see what? The whole thing is play on awareness. Where is Jagat? I have no problem anymore. I don't even need to do anything, because all that is here is one unchanging reality. Mirabai, Bhavasagar Saba सूख गया है, जरूरत नहीं मुझे तरनन की,
फिक्र
नहीं मुझे तरनन की.
What's Taranan?
Taranan means crossing, swimming. He says that before I thought that this whole samsara is frightening and I have to what? Cross over that samsara. But the samsara has big waves, sharks. Crossing the ocean is impossible. Try to cross, just go here little bit in Ganga, little bit in that current. You will reach Triveni Ghat. Somebody was saying, who was saying?
And also that Sufi poem I was telling you about.
What was the Sufi poem?
I went in search of God and found me. I went in search of me and found God.
Right. So therefore, she says that initially I thought I have to cross over this very scary ocean. When I looked with Jnana Chakshu, I found only awareness. I didn't find. There is Sukha Gaya, that samsara which I saw is now totally disappeared in my understanding. Now I don't need to cross anything. All that is here is one. Oneness, non-duality, Advaita. Where we are and where it takes us. Just step by step through logic, making us see. See things which are. Otherwise, life gives you, as Einstein said, an optical illusion. Within this optical illusion, you define yourself as one little entity. And you live your whole life being imprisoned by what? Your self-imposed limitation. Shastra enables you to free yourself from that optical illusion and shows you the reality. Okay? So therefore, for a wise person, now let's go back to the model of Sanchita, Prarabdha and Agami Karma and see what happens to wise person. In terms of visual, that connection with one body will remain like everybody else. Only that confusion is resolved. But what happens to all these karmas which are waiting in your account for anadi janmas? It is all resolved in one shot. Why? Because karma sustains on what? Karta, the individual, the doer. Now, through this knowledge, what have you discovered? I am akarta. I am not this little doer, I am that awareness which never does anything. If you understand that I am akarta, where will this karma hang? There is no place for this karma to hang because his individuality is negated as mithya. So all your sanchita karma which give you what? future births for time immemorial is going to go. Why? Because the ignorance is gone. That kartutvam, that doership is what inherent in doership is the ignorance about the nature of mind. Doership means I am connected to the body, I am connected to the mind, and that is my self-identity. As long as that mix-up remains, all the karmas remain. When that mix-up is gone, karmas disintegrate. Sanchita karma, gone. Agami karma, all gone. Because in order for it to stick to an individual, the individual itself is negated through knowledge. That individuality as my reality is negated through knowledge. So therefore, even agami karma disintegrate. What about prarabdha karma? It has to be lived. Why? Because an example is given. Imagine that I am standing here and I release an arrow. I release an arrow and I die. The arrow is going to stop? No. Why? Because it has already been released. That when it stops is taken over by what? The laws of cause and effect. In this case, what? The speed, right? The force with which I did it, the nature of the arrow I had, all will determine how far it will travel. So, the only thing remains is prarabdha karma. This is why they say, for wise person, this is the last birth. Because there is no more need to take births anymore. Because all the account is closed. The karma sustains only on avidya of what the nature of Atma is. Karma is for karta. Kartrutvam is not totally reality about you. You are akarta. Awareness, in awareness there is no kartrutvam. So therefore, it's not you decide. You are not law of karma. It disintegrates. It's part of Ishvara's design. The last birth, prarabdha karma. Somebody says, but as long as the prarabdha karma remains, then the connection with one, that given body and mind remains. Then all that limitation that comes along still remains or not? Yes, it remains. What is solved is only the confusion between what I am and what the body is going through.
But you still have the form.
But you still have the form. Now, this has a purpose. There are twofold purposes. One is the first purpose is very funny, which Rajan says, that imagine the minute knowledge took place, your body will disappear, nobody would want that knowledge. But in addition to that, right, all these lifetimes that you have lived with what? A confusion of what you are. Now, you are given a few years to live with what? No confusion. Life becomes a celebration. Because the next few years you live what? With this knowledge, which is what? As clear as the daylight. You are given few years to enjoy, because you need body and mind to enjoy. So, for a wise person, that which seemed like a scary samsara becomes what?
Become a celebration.
Becomes a celebration, because there is only one thing, there is no second thing in this creation. Every form, every law, Adi Shankaracharya. Oh, beautiful poems and the kind of things he did in his 32 years of life. What all he accomplished. He traveled all around. He went from Kerala to Himalayas walking and, then wrote all these commentaries and established 4 months and all that in 32 years. Life becomes a celebration. Secondly, and more importantly, if every wise person disappears from the earth, who will become the guru?
Unwise.
Unwise. If unwise is teaching, what will you get?
Confusion.
Confusion. Multiple confusion. So the presence of wise person on this earth is a mechanism through which Ishvara ensures flow of knowledge. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara. Starting from Lord Shiva. There is an equivalent for Narayana. Whichever, Dakshinamurti everywhere. Any name you give to that Ishvara. Ishvara within its grand order, which is what Sarvajna, has the whole mechanism to preserve this knowledge. You don't need to take the shoulder of preserving this knowledge. Through series of Guru Shishya Parampara. A Shishya becomes a Guru after having totally taken the knowledge from the Guru. That Guru again gives it to a Shishya. That Shishya becomes a Guru. Where is the ownership? There is no ownership. You are only a trustee. If you start thinking that I am the owner of this knowledge and I have this whole big responsibility to give it to the world, hey, who are you? That is another huge delusion. You are only a trustee.
When you refer to wise person, that's an enlightened person.
So wise person is the one who knows the reality. What is the reality? That I and Ishvara are one.
Yeah, and then what will be enlightenment? Same,
This
no?
is what, yeah.
Yeah.
The enlightenment is an English word
Yeah.
that shows some kind of a light.
Yeah,
So this is why we use wise person. That means the confusion is under.
that sounds like a very miraculous attack something.
Exactly, thadak something happens, right?
Bliss, relate to bliss again, somewhere it is.
No, at least I don't think it's like that.
So lovely.
People may
Thank
think
God,
it,
people
but I
may
don't think there's some
exactly.
light coming.
That's why we use these words very carefully. It takes out that a little bit of this zing to that whole thing, or something fantastic is going to happen, and So it's like the puzzle of life is solved.
I'll only add, enlightenment is not for others to know that you are enlightened. Enlightenment is for you to know that you are now a little more wise.
So So that means, not a little more wiser, the riddle
Being
of
modest.
life is solved.
Yeah.
Right? So this is what this whole Tattu Samam, this is where the whole teaching culminates. Right? So you what? Pay your tribute to all these teachers and what you are trustee of this knowledge. This knowledge is entrusted to you. And Ishvara what? Puts you in a position to share it. You don't take this whole responsibility, I want to. Who are you? Puts you in a position to share this knowledge and you do your part. Constantly aware of that order within which you operate. You get big things done, but without any sense of ownership. You become an instrument. And your prayers are always to what? To that Ishvara to what? Bless you so that you don't add your own stories to this knowledge. It's too big. It's too profound. That you become a deserving what? Guru, who imparts this knowledge in its totality. And you bless, really, through your own, this thing, you bless everyone who comes to you. And pray for them to get this knowledge one day. So with that, I will stop this class and I will do a prayer, but after that Alok will speak for a few minutes. He wanted to speak. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.